All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Chargers Chat. We are at Cummins Emissions Solutions in Mineral Point. We have a full day today, joined right now by Tyler Lai. Hello, Tyler. Thanks for joining me. We're also going to be joined by Greg Weber and also Jeff Smith here at Cummins Emissions Solutions. Tyler, first, tell us a little bit where you're from and tell us a little about your experience at Southwest Tech.
I'm from Dodgeville, and I can't say enough about my experience at Southwest Tech. For everything from needing help with my schedule or financial aid or anything like that to every day in the shop with my instructor. It's just everybody's there to help you make sure you learn what you need to learn.
Sure, and who's been your instructor throughout this process?
Jeff Mitland.
Sure, Jeff. And tell me about, maybe go back a little bit, we talked a little bit before the show. How did you get interested in welding when you were a young man, Tyler?
So I grew up on a farm, and anybody who grows up on a farm knows everything breaks at some point. And so I knew how to weld, well enough anyway. And I've always liked making things, putting stuff together, seeing how it works. And I just, when I was kind of looking at some options, the welding came up, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Sure. And currently, you're enrolled at Southwest Tech. You're taking classes. When do you graduate, Tyler?
In May.
In May this year. And you had the opportunity to come here to Cummins to be employed. How's that working out? And I guess they're working with your schedule?
Yep. Yeah, so I work second shift, which starts at 3 o'clock. And I have a class in Fenimore that doesn't get done until 2:30 on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So Wednesdays and Thursdays, they let me come in late, and it wasn't a problem at all. And so then once I'm done with school, I'll go back to a regular schedule, and everything will be smooth sailing from there.
Sure. And these days, I guess the term is non-traditional student. You're a non-traditional student.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about your family and why was it right for you to go back and get into welding, Tyler?
So I'm 27, and so for the past 10 years, I got married. I had a couple kids.
Sure.
I was working in food service and a couple other places, and it was paying the bills, but it wasn't what I wanted to do, and it was just paying the bills.
Right.
So got to a point, need some options, and decided I needed to go back to school, learn a trade.
Sure.
And so about a year ago, I applied, and that was one of the best things I've done in the last 10 years. So
sure. And I have to ask you, you're from Dodgeville. Southwest Tech's in the area. What drew your attention to Southwest Tech specifically, Tyler?
Well, I knew the welding program was good.
Sure.
I've known a couple people that have gone through it, and they were, they've always said good things about it. And I had toured the place in high school.
Sure.
So I knew what I was looking at, and it's Fenimore, Southwest Tech.
Sure. So your title is welder, cat/filter. Obviously, I have no idea what that means. Can you kind of explain what your job responsibilities are and what you do on a day-to-day basis here, Tyler?
Yeah, so I'm on the cat filter line, so we make the catalyst and filters, mostly a couple other things, but so we use some jigs and fixtures, put all the pieces together, and last while I've been putting heat shields on them, and so you get them off the line, do your welds. And my line, we do about 110 different parts.
Wow.
So it's not the same thing every day. It's not the same thing all day long even. And you're always going to getting what you need, finding the parts, getting the jigs.
Sure.
So.
I imagine, too, throughout the process, you've learned a lot of things actually on the job, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we learn how to weld in school, but
Sure.
we get into a real-world situation. You're welding on actual parts. It's not... At school, we learn how to do it on small pieces and then do some tests and stuff. And yesterday, I was welding heat shields that were about 2 feet long. So it's a little different than the 6-inch tickets at school.
Sure. That kind of leads into the next question. How do you think your education so far at Southwest Tech has helped you on the job here at Cummins, Tyler?
If I hadn't been at Southwest Tech, I would not be able to weld down on the shop floor right now. I had said it's not the same thing as a classroom environment, but they teach you what you're looking at in school, and here at Cummins they'll teach you how to weld too. It's been nice for me coming in knowing how, and that's one of the biggest things. At school you learn what you're looking at. How the metal's behaving while you're welding, and how to adjust your weld settings and stuff like that.
Sure. And there are other students obviously in the welding program. What advice would you have for students who are currently, I guess, maybe in the program, or students out there, non-traditional students, if we want to use that term, who are thinking about maybe going back to school or maybe going into welding or maybe any other program? Southwest Tech has 60 programs.
Right.
No matter what age you are, what advice would you have for folks, Tyler?
One of the biggest things I tell people, especially non-traditional students, don't wait.
Sure.
And I've worked with high school kids that are, I don't know, and don't wait. If you have a thought, that I think this is what I want to do it. I spent 10 years doing other stuff and it was working, but now I'm going to school doing what I want to do, and it's good.
Sure.
It's good. It's a lot better.
And I'm gonna talk to Jeff Smith here in a little bit, operations leader, about Cummins specifically. And there's a lot of competition out there for skilled employees, technical employees. For you, why was Cummins the right choice? Why is Cummins the right choice for you, Tyler?
I like that Cummins is a big company, but we're in Mineral Point. Where it's not, it's close, and they care about their employees.
Sure.
They're huge on safety. That's their biggest thing. I hear several times a day, no job is too important that it can't be done safely.
Sure.
And so they provide gloves and all the protective equipment. They want to make sure you have it. And like me, they work with my schedule, and they care about their employees. And there's a couple people on my line who've been here 20 years, and if there's that many people in a place that have been there 20, 30, 40, 50 years, some people almost, it's got to be a good place to work.
Sure. And the people I've talked to, I've been here a few times, that they really take pride in their work, and the work that's produced here really, I think, goes all over the world. Do you take pride in the stuff that you put together, Tyler? Because it doesn't just stay in Mineral Point, obviously. Yeah. There's a world market for what's done.
Yeah, we're small town America, sending stuff all over the world. Japan, all over Asia, into Europe. It's I never really thought about it, and then they're at the parts looking at the paperwork and like, oh, we got to do this because it's going to Europe, and I guess that'd be a little bit different places, and I just think it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, before I let you go, and we're going to bring in Greg Weber here in a second, another alumni of Southwest Tech, but I just want to touch on a little bit again. If you could just give some more advice to young students or to non-traditional students. I think we really want to bring home the point that it's never too late. There are always options. What would you say to them again, Tyler?
Like I said before, just don't wait. Just just go ahead and do it. And once you decide make the decision, go to school when you're there. It's easy to I got it. But you do the work, and you'll get a lot out of it.
Great. Thanks, Tyler. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's bring in Greg Weber. Greg is an alumni of Southwest Tech. And like Tyler said, if you're looking to get into a new field or advance your career, Southwest Tech is certainly an option for you. So we're going to bring in Greg now. Greg, thanks for being on the show. If you want to scoot in a little bit so everybody can see you. There we go. Greg, let's start. Where are you from? And I guess you're also enrolled at Southwest Tech?
No,
or you're an alumni?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you from, Greg?
I'm originally from Mineral Point. I've always grown up here. I've been here for a few years. I've always looked up to Cummins. I'm a supervisor. I've been here for probably about 3.5 to 4 years now.
Great.
So I've always looked up to this place. It's a great place to work.
Sure. And when did you graduate from Southwest Tech?
2015.
2015.
Graduated Southwest Tech, so I've been here for quite a long time.
Sure. And what? Who was your instructor back then?
Tim.
Okay, great.
So,
And I guess out of college from Southwest Tech, where did you go after that? Did you come to Cummins right away?
yes, I applied while I was in school, and I actually had my interview. Cummins was nice enough to come to Southwest Tech to do the interviews right on site, so that was kind of a nice thing to do. So I applied right out of college, and then I got hired out right when I graduated because it worked around our schedule and stuff. So make sure that when we graduated, we could just come right and get hired here.
Sure, great. So looking at your title, SCR Inlet Outlet Team Lead, can you tell me about that? I don't work here, so tell me about what you do on a day-to-day basis, Greg.
I run 2 different lines that supply one line to get a final product. So I'm in charge of quite a few people. I'm supposed to have around 10 people. I supply SCR Final Line, which works on-highway parts. So we do pretty good every day today. I got a few people that know how to weld and stuff, but it'd be nice to have some people who come straight from Southwest Tech, that
Sure.
have an idea. But like they said before, we teach on-site welding too. We have a weld instructor that goes and works with the people for a week, and then they come down here and work for a week, and we keep on training on them with them day to day.
So it's been a pretty good experience for you coming from Southwest Tech here, and you've already advanced up the ladder. How's that
Yeah.
experience been like, Greg?
It's great. There's a lot of opportunities here. If you work hard and put your mind to it, you can move up the ladder pretty quick. Before I hit my 1 year here, I was already an assistant, so that kind of put some opportunities with me and a lot of thinking, should I go into team lead, or, like that. But I worked that for about 1.5 years or so, and then I had this opportunity to become a team lead, and I took it.
Sure. And going back to your days at Southwest Tech, we talk a lot about college students. Once they graduate, they want to leave. They want to go somewhere, work at a big company, Chicago, New York, wherever. But, there are companies that I've seen around here, like we talked with Tyler, you guys ship all over the world. There are companies here, just like Cummins, that do big work. Why was it important for you to stay here?
Close to my family,
Yeah.
and I've always grown up in this town, and just great opportunity here. I've always looked up to this company because it's like my school's right over there.
Sure.
So I've always seen this place here, and I was like, oh, I want to work there someday. And then I've had people that in my class where their parents worked here, and they've always said good things about this place. Good benefits, good everything here. So, it's very fortunate to work in such a great factory.
Sure. And what do you say to people when you tell them where you work and they ask you, what do you do there? What is Cummins? Do people have any idea what goes on here, Greg?
I get that question a lot from
Yeah.
my dad. Because he asked me, he's like, what do I do here? And well, I'm a team lead. I'm in charge of 2 lines. I'm in charge of quite a few people. I always try to make them feel comfortable here. I always try to talk to them day to day, see how their weekend's going, make sure that they want to work here, and like I always ask questions about, hey, how's your day going? Like, make them feel comfortable here.
Sure. And I'll talk to Jeff a little bit about this coming up, but there's a lot of competition these days for employees. Do you do extra special things to keep employees happy? Obviously, Tyler said guys have been here 20, 30 years. Obviously, people like it here.
Yeah, my assistant's been here for like 15 years too, and we always try to give people tips on like when they're welding. Like we always try to give them tips. Hey, this is what you need to look for. This is getting shipped to another person. This is the outside weld. We need to make sure that that's perfect. No spatter anywhere and stuff like that. We always try to send out good parts because we know that, and I tell them, hey, this isn't just going into town here. This is going on semis and stuff like that out on the road, and people see this day to day.
Yeah.
It goes to different countries and stuff like that, different states. So we like to put out good product here.
Yeah.
at Cummins.
So what would you, the same question I asked Tyler, what would you say to young people or even non-traditional students who are thinking about, advancing their education, maybe getting into welding or some type of other technical trade or any other program that Southwest Tech offers? You were there, what
Yeah.
else is offered there. It's not just welding or whatever. What advice would you have for them, Greg?
And when you put your mind to something, just like Tyler said, just do it. Don't wait, don't push it off and stuff like that. Just do it, get it done. Then you can look back at it and say, hey, look, I accomplished this. I have this, and if you have to, you can go back to the program again and do something else that you don't want to do for something else.
Sure.
I mean, I put my mind to graduating at Southwest Tech, and I graduated, and then I pushed myself to get a job. So, I just push yourself.
Yeah, and these are good jobs.
Yeah,
these are good professional jobs, and in your hometown, and,
Yeah.
and you're doing well. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess before I let you go, Greg, what do you think the future holds here for you at Cummins?
I'd like to just keep moving up the ladder. Eventually be a manager if I can. But I got a lot to learn before I do that. But,
Sure.
I just got to keep learning and keep doing what I do
Sure.
and keep
Well,
putting good product out.
absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time, Greg.
All
Thank
right,
you very
thank you.
much. That's Greg Weber, alumni of Southwest Tech. I appreciate his time. I'm going to bring in Jeff Smith now. Jeff is an operations leader here at Cummins Emissions Solutions. Jeff, thanks for joining us. And how long have you been here, Jeff?
Dan, I've worked at Cummins in Mineral Point for 9 months now.
9 months? Oh,
Yeah,
you're
so
a veteran.
I'm the newbie out of the group. Yeah.
Sure. Good. So tell me a little bit about, as operations leader, what are kind of your responsibilities day to day, week to week here?
So we have an operations of about 600 people that we employ here. About 450 at any given time work on the floor. So those individuals all report up through me. So making sure that we produce the product in a safe manner and make a quality product are my responsibilities.
Sure. That's great. So here in Mineral Point, I had the opportunity this morning to take a tour of the floor, and I was able to get some video. Let me get this other stuff out of the way here, and I can show the video. Let me roll this real quick, Greg. Oops, sorry about that. Or Jeff, I'm sorry. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, here, we'll show this whoops. So this was earlier today. We're going to show some welding video. Talk a little bit about, Tyler talked about the variety. Is that something that you like to do with the guys on the floor, give them some variety and keep things moving a little bit? Jeff?
Yeah, so we have a lot of opportunities here. Between the different product that we make, I think I have probably about a dozen different product lines, and each of them are very unique. We have some lines that are very automated with robotic welding. We have some that are very manual, some that make work with a lot of machinery, and some that are very manual. And so we have a lot of opportunities in the factory for people to move around, whether they like welding, whether they like assembly, or if we need material brought to us, right? So you have material handlers as well, and whether they aspire to be more in terms of managing people
Sure.
and leadership, like Greg does, moving up to team leads and team manager positions in the facility.
Sure. So here this morning I was able to get some welding video. This is pretty cool. I wish I knew how to do some of this welding. Looks like I was able to go through some different areas, Jeff, and they all work on different parts, it looks like. Can you talk a little about, you don't have to talk about specifically, but what are some of the clients or some of the markets that Cummins serves?
Yeah, so our product goes to the OE market, and both for off-highway and on-highway. So your big customers that you'll see running up and down the road or seeing out in the field, a lot of those we have some market share with those products.
Sure. And Tyler mentioned too, some of the guys have been here 20, 30 years. What does that make you feel like? You must be pretty proud to have guys who have wanted to stay that long, Jeff.
Yeah, you know you're doing something right when people continue to stay here for a long period, right? but it's about having that mix of having 40-year, 30-year veterans, but also then people like Greg who have 5 years of experience, have some professional schooling behind them, that he's able to bring different ideas, understand welds, be able to share those opportunities with others. So it's about having a combination, I think, of experience and also some education and bringing those together on the floor.
Sure, and some of this welding here is this, I would imagine these are pretty experienced welders that we're seeing here, Jeff, or?
Yeah, especially on first shift.
Yeah.
A lot of our people that weld are very experienced. So now that I know who it is, yes.
Sure.
It's experienced welder that we have.
Sure, that's great. And the other thing I want to talk to you about, I've been here, I think this is my third or fourth time, and the one thing I've really noticed being out on the floor is it's really clean.
Yep.
I think some people may have the misperception still, even in 2019, that factories are dirty, maybe
Yep.
dingy. When you go home, you're going to be really dirty. But here, it just seems like a really clean place to work. Can you talk about that a little bit, Jeff?
So that's one of our efforts that we do here called 5S, so making sure we have things organized
Sure.
in the right place. I think the thing to understand about manufacturing, unlike banks or someplace else, is we make a product, right? So you always have a lot of moving pieces on the floor, and sometimes having that much traffic in a small area can look very busy, sometimes very dirty. But there is method to where we move some stuff and to make sure we get that product out. But in terms of dirty, it's manufacturing. We're not out there. We're out there to make a quality product, and having a filthy and non-safe work environment doesn't help.
Sure. And speaking of non-safe, since, like I've said, I've been here a few times, and safety is an extremely important issue for Cummins. I've watched the safety video. There are other measures that you go through. How important is it to be safe on the job, not just as an employee, but even as a visitor you take really seriously, Jeff?
Yeah, so if I think of my employees, we have a new hire course that starts every Monday, 2 weeks. I always greet them every Monday and tell them my priorities. Safety, quality, delivery. And they go in that order for a reason. Because if we're not safe, if we're not bringing up issues, if I'm not looking out for myself, if I'm not looking out for you, Dan,
Right.
then I don't have employees at work. And if they're not at work, they can't make the product. And the reason Cummins has us here is to make products. So if we're not have safety as our number one priority, it's going to be a problem making parts. So, yeah.
And the other thing I noticed this morning is just the assembly line, and it's kind of an art form moving from one station to another, Jeff. Can you talk about that a little bit and just the precision that you guys work with here?
Yeah, so the line we're looking at, Dan, is one of our very manual operations. As you can see, the gentleman's going to manually weld here. But what you saw was the lift assist that came in, moved that part. So we probably had about 12 stations up and down that line, and they all basically work like an accordion. Each station has one of those lift devices, so they'll get done doing their manual weld, lift device comes in, or they move it over there, grab it, and then the next guy pulls it, takes it down to their workstation. So there's probably about 12 of those stations in a row with manual welding.
Sure, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's I love coming here every time, Jeff. And I want to talk a little bit about the collaboration between Cummins and Southwest Tech. There's so much that Cummins does with Southwest Tech. There was a large donation made in 2017, nearly $91,000 for our mobile welding lab. Also, an additional $5,000 grant for more welding students. You attend our career fairs. Also done some contracting work. Why do you think it's so important that Cummins has a solid relationship with Southwest Tech and technical education like that, Jeff?
Specifically for our factory, like I said, we have a combination of manual and robotic welds. And we need people that understand welding. Obviously, as the other said, we train people here, but we train them to do the specific job. And Southwest Tech goes that step further, making sure they understand more about the material, understanding the weld. And in addition to just welding, these individuals move on to be weld trainers. They move on in quality roles to make sure that they are understanding that the welds are good. They also are spot checking their buddies when a weld comes down the line, is that a good weld or not? Do they know to reject that? If you don't know anything about welding, you might look at that weld and say, oh, okay, and I'll just pass it along to the customer,
Right.
and then we have a quality issue. So it's more than just the welding, it's understanding the weld and how that, and in the business that we do, making after treatment, how important that is. We need several aspects of the welding career here at Cummins Inc.
That's great. So what advice, I guess, would you have for men or women interested? Obviously, there are women too interested in welding. What advice would you have for them who are maybe on the fence or thinking about a welding career, Jeff?
So I'd say first, when you're looking at manufacturing or welding, understand what that is. You make a product, you're going to be in a factory, okay? And depending on the factory, it could be cold, it can be warm during the summer months.
Right.
So you have to really understand the environment you're walking into. Is that something you enjoy? There's a lot of people, right? You're not interfacing with computers, a lot of gadgets all the time. You work with a lot of people. With people, sometimes comes some good relationships, and sometimes there's some headbutting. So I'd say understand that environment that you're walking into first. But then, and the other thing on the environment, I think Tyler mentioned the PPE, our personal protective gear, right? Is that an environment? Are you prepared to wear all that stuff? The heavy boots, the face mask, the air respirator that they have on their back. Are you prepared to wear that all day? And in an environment like ours, we have the opportunity where we have a lot of different products, so we can switch up and make sure it's not very monotonous throughout the day, right? So I think we have that going for ourselves as we have welders here.
Sure, that's great. So we talked about this a little bit before, Jeff, but currently, the job market kind of favors the employees, the job seeker. There seems to be jobs out there. What do you do for trying to get employees in here? I think you're always looking for employees. How do you go about it that way, Jeff?
So Dan, we do the standard stuff, which whether it's billboards, whether it's newspaper, reassessing are the wages, is our compensation package right for this area. But in addition to that, for me in operations, I have to look internal as well. Am I doing the right thing for the employees that currently work for me? Because if I'm doing my best with my team to take care of the employees, if I'm trying to treat them with respect, trying to treat them fairly, listen to their challenges, see if we can solve some of them. We can't solve everyone, but how do we solve some of those? If we can take care of those things with our current employees, they're going to be our best advocate for speaking to others and saying, hey, Cummins Inc., Mineral Point, it's a pretty good place to work. Why don't you apply here? So, like I said, we do all the normal HR stuff, but for me in the operations, I think it's focus on the people I have and let them be the advocate of how good a Cummins Mineral Point is.
Sure. It kind of follows up a little bit. Might be kind of a repeat, but tell the folks why would Cummins be a good place for people to work, Jeff?
So for those that don't know, Cummins is a $60 billion, 60,000 people worldwide. Mm-hmm. We operate in 190 of 196 countries. Our revenue is $23.8 billion last year. So I guess what I'm saying with that, Dan, is we're a very global company. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of opportunities, whether you want to stay here in Mineral Point or you want to go other places. Sure. We have opportunities in operations, quality, IT, HR, you name it. And like I said, we have opportunities around the world. It's just how open is your door? Are you Greg wants to stay here by his family in Mineral Point? Others, where do you want to go?
Sure. Good. Well, I appreciate your time, Jeff. I appreciate the hospitality from everybody today. It was great to walk around and see all the action, see the welding. And if anybody wants more information on Cummins, certainly check out the website or more information on our welding program at Southwest Tech. There's our online website, swtc.edu/welding. Again, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
And again, thank everybody here. It was a good day today here at Cummins Emission Solutions in Mineral Point. I hope you have a great day. We will not have a show next week. In 2 weeks, we will be back Thursday at noon. Thank you very much.